Oceania Regionals top 8, let's go. So over the weekend, we of course had the Masters and Fusion World Regionals in Sydney, and there will be a Masters breakdown coming out. Obviously, Fusion World is the main thing that I do on this channel, so I'm going to do Fusion World first. I have been waiting out all week to see if Eggman was actually going to make a video of it, and at the time of recording this, it's actually Thursday, so I'm not too sure if he's actually going to do one, because I was trying not to do one because he normally does it. But I figured being Sydney, I was actually there. I actually went and got some data myself. I figured I would actually make a video about this myself. So you'll see that there was 63 players in attendance, and now it is a little bit of a talking point, and I don't want to bash around about it, but some people actually didn't realize that the event was actually capped at 64 players, and that was mainly just due to the fact that pre-sale tickets had not been strong, so the TO had actually limited the event. Unfortunately, had I known about this earlier, I probably actually would have shared around socials to avoid people missing out, because there was apparently a waitlist. I do not know how long the waitlist was. I was actually in discussion with the TO the other day, and they did say to me that no one was actually turned away on the day of Fusion World, which in a sense is a good thing that you don't have to turn players away, but I don't know how big the waitlist was. We were advised that there was a waitlist, so I hope if you did come to the event that you did get to play, or I hope you didn't miss out because of the waitlist. But in future, we just know we've just got to purchase these tickets earlier, because it does actually help the TO out a lot, and at the end of the day, they are a business, they have to operate what is best for them. But otherwise, as I always say, I do really enjoy going to the events run by the TO. They always do a good job. I've never really ever, I think there was only one event many years ago where I didn't walk away satisfied. Otherwise, every time I've been there, they've always done a great job. But as I was also there, I did get a chance to get around and chat to a few different people. Obviously, some people that I know, and some people that have come up to me and said, hey. So I actually had one person sit down next to me, and if anyone's watched my old content, you will know that I actually do if you guys come up and say hi to me. It's actually a pretty weird thing for me. Probably think it's a pretty weird thing, but to me, it's it feels really nice to have someone come up and say, hey, I actually enjoy your content. I actually really struggle to strike a conversation and hold conversations myself, so I can be a bit awkward in person, which some of you may have picked up on. But shout out to the guy that sat next to me and said hey, because he said he knew he'd watched my videos and he knew that. So if it seemed awkward and I didn't fully acknowledge it, I do apologize, but I do appreciate you guys coming up and having a chat with me. So for those that didn't actually see, I went around in between one of my rounds because, and this is quickly going to get me off topic, I actually matched my wife for the second time in consecutive tournaments. We have matched each other, and our game was over relatively fast. And so I thought I would do what I did for Masters, and I went round to every table and I jotted down every single leader, and I put it into a pie chart on my phone, so that way we could get a bit of data about what decks were at the event. And you'll see that it is very heavily favored to Boo and Cell. It's actually 21 because I didn't count my wife's deck, because she was playing Boo, and then 19 Cell. We had 5 Kid Q, 5 Baby Vegeta, 3 Giblet. Sorry, it was actually 4 Giblet because I didn't count myself as well. 2 Green Vegeta, 2 Blue Dimer. It was actually 4 FBO4 Boo, because you can't quite see it, but I didn't press the F, I pressed D on my phone and it didn't autocorrect. So it's actually, there's 1 DB Boo, yeah, which is FBO4 Boo. And so that means that there was 4 FBO4 Boos, 1 Broly, 1 Broly, 1 Gogeta, 1 Jiren, 1 Android 18, 1 Bulma, 1 Yellow Vegeta, and 1 Janemba. So I mean, outside of the notable, there was a lot of different decks at the event. But in saying that, I think we all knew that it was probably going to be very heavily favored to Majin Buu. I actually did not expect to see as much Cell as I thought I would have, but I definitely expected there to be numbers like this in Buu. But of course, getting back on track, first place was taken down by Brendan. Big shout out to him, because he actually went back to back. He did win the Melbourne Regionals as well as this one in Sydney, and he stuck to his faithful of Evil Boo. So moving on to that, we had a Kid Ku in second. Third place was the first Cell. Fourth place was another Kid Buu, and of course, fifth place was Kid Buu. Sixth place was Janemba. Seventh was Cell. And then 8th place was actually a stone cold draw. So there was 2 8th places. They both say on the Bandai app that they were 8th, but there's like obviously an 8th and a 9th. There was nothing to separate them. Their win percentage was the same, and the second tiebreaker they used, I don't know about whatever the second tiebreaker is, was exactly the same. So they were both given 8th place. So that's enough waffling about that. Let's get into some lists. So first up, we have, of course, Brendan, who did take down the event. And this is obviously the first thing that I see here that when I first looked through this list myself was there was actually no Barbary. So I believe that this build is just still heavily on the aggression, the being able to swing your leader twice. So you will see that there's no Barbary, but there is a very heavy package of Boo. We've obviously been able to remove some cards like the Absorption card because we're playing this Margin Boo, of course. And otherwise, it is a pretty standard Boo deck with some of the new stuff. Obviously, we're playing a maximum count of the new 1-drop resting cards, 4 of the new broken SR, and 4 of the, of course, new critical guys, which you can discard after it's KO'd to play out the 4-drop. So next up, we have the OCE GOAT, that is Mr. John Argos. He was playing Boo, and this is the first of the Boo list, but the one notable, again, is actually no Barbary. So no barrier Barbary. He's obviously just gone the aggression route, and he's probably preferred, I guess you could say, the more lockdown approach where instead of swinging twice with your leader, he's just opted to be able to stun and just keep swinging face. So you will see that, like I said, no Barbary, but pretty much the same sort of deal as the last list, like very heavy on the 1-drop resting. This list is actually playing the Janemba, and we are playing one of the Golden Freezer. So this kind of like is really good tech. A lot of the lists I have seen actually are not running this Freezer. Some lists just do it for like those high cost decks that so just makes them come in rest mode. So it actually stops you from being able to be double striked because you don't actually have the Barbary blocker play. So I actually think this is a very good build, despite not having Barbary. Like all my builds up until making these lists on Eggman events, I had not seen any lists not running Barbary. So it was a bit of a take back for a second for me, but just goes to show just how strong this deck is. That one of the broken cards that everyone is actually complaining about, people aren't even running it in some decks. So next up we have Cell, and that is run by Quinton. He come 3rd place, and I believe he actually was playing off in the final round with Brendan for the win. But what seems to happen if you like lose your final round, you drop down to 3rd place. I've noticed happening a lot of events. And he is playing Cell, and the one thing, I was actually myself looking to play Cell leading into the weekend. I just didn't get the reps on Cell, so I didn't end up playing it. And then when I arrived in Sydney, I started seeing people in the Discord that I talk about the Cell deck start running the 1-cost Cell. And the first thing that I noticed with this list is it isn't running the 1-cost Cell. A lot of people are saying you run the 1-cost Cell to obviously get it out a turn earlier against Margin Boo. It makes it a bit harder for him to deal with. But this list has opted no 1-cost Cell. So it is actually one thing I did notice is there is a lot of these Android 16s. A lot of lists, myself included, weren't running the full complement of this Android 16. So obviously maybe just likes the whole swing and then pop it to play maybe an 18 back. I'm not too sure, but we'll see we have 4 of the new searches. Really, really good card. Searches your whole engine. Minuses something by 5. Definitely rightful that it has 0 combo. Obviously, our strong cantrip, which feeds our 4-cost ability. The 2-cost Android 17, which just like lets you filter. Really good for setting up your drop because you can pick things up. With the 5-cost Cell, the 2-cost that we just spoke about. The Take a Life 18, that is also a blocker. And this card can be very, very helpful because if you ever need to, you can like self-destruct your 5-cost to play this and swing, like you get another swing for game. Or you can just like set up a blocker, so that way they've got to try and remove a blocker. So I actually really like this card as a 2 of. I was originally on the Take a Life gets 5k rather than this one, but the more I've actually seen this deck be played, I think this is actually really, really good because it's a great target to play off of when you pop the 5-cost Cell. Of course, for Cell Jr., this card is becoming more and more broken for me the more that I actually play this game. When I first looked at Cell Jr., I was like, it's 15k, it's going to be rough. But like, he's running 3 copies of Instant Transmission, which gives you 15k, which pretty much just, you can't ever go to 1 against Cell. If you think that Cell's swings are done, but he's got a 30k on board, you can't go to 1, because they just play Cell Juniors, and they just dump to like 100k, because Cell always has a fat hand, and then a lot of 10ks. So moving on from there, we have the Android 16, which is a really great option in the deck. Obviously allows removal, pops your leader skill, draws a card, replaces itself. You can actually also set up, if you don't want the draw, you can actually use the self-destruct on it, and not only will you KO the 30k, you'll also get the -20 for KOing your Android 16. While you don't get the draw from the Android 16, you can potentially move 2 bodies with self-destruct. And then the main core of the engine, which is obviously the 4-cost Cell, we need this Cell to go into our 5-cost, play, negs 10, really strong card. The 5-cost Cell enables you just to keep playing. You keep recycling your chain. If you see 5-cost Cells, you're set. You just need to pick your 4-cost up every turn. You can just get away with 1 4-cost. As long as you're seeing your 18s and your 4-cost, 5-cost is online. And then, of course, like I said, when it's KO'd, it plays out a Android 18. Sometimes, like, if you get in instances and just hope that, like, your opponent should never do this if you're playing a mirror, but if your opponent KOs this while they've got, like, the 4-drop and a 1-drop on field, you can just replay your 18 and neg their 1-drop, and then they can't go into their chain. So it will, like, KOing this can be very punishing. And then moving on, we have what we call the Big Daddy Cell. Obviously, the SR, we play it out. When swinging, KO something 10,000 or less. We can place something in the drop. Do note that it's place in the drop, so you can't, like, pop this to play something because it places it in the drop, whereas this needs to be KO'd. So if you're thinking about Cell and you ever come across this, just remember it is place in the drop, as the ad blocker thing doesn't work because I don't know much about computers. So that, like I said, place 1 in the drop, you -2 things by 20k. This is like kind of like your, I guess, your oh shit button of the deck. Like, if your opponent's board gets a little bit out of control, you can play Cell, play a couple of Cell Juniors, you minus some things, you make your math work, you swing your Cell Juniors into the little numbers, then you swing your Big Daddy Cell, normally at face, and then it pops the other thing. So it pretty much, like, stops it when a board gets out of control. The Big Daddy Cell is what you go to reel the board back in, because unlike the rest of the chain, like, it doesn't replace itself, and if anything, it taxes it if you don't have a body on board previously that you needed to place in your drop. And of course, 1 double striker, and I actually, when I originally seen, like, some Cell lists, none of them were running double strike, and I don't know, I am a very heavy reliant on the double strike. Obviously, playing Nemiku, I do, like, swing double strike for game just about every game. So for me, I think 1 double striker is a no-brainer. You don't want to play more than that because it's not searchable, anything like that. If you see it, you see it. Like, you're generally always swinging 40, so you can push your opponent down. The one thing I have noticed is people do take to 2 relatively easy against Cell because, like, they're like, oh, well, it's just a full engine of androids. I'm free to take to 2. And if you happen to have the double strike, we can just dump the double strike on them. Forge Row super combo. Like I said, 3 instant. If you've got a Cell in play, you can get plus 15. So basically like the instant for green, except you have to have a different condition. 3 self-destruct, really good card. So KO one of your cards, you draw a card, you KO something 30,000 or less. And then the Royal Defense Last Stand, which I think is becoming a little bit of an awkward card in Cell. So he's done, like, they've done very well, obviously. Like, I can't really talk. But I do notice that sometimes this card can be a little bit hard to play. I nearly wanted to change this to Mafuba myself if I was going to play the deck. But nonetheless, he's done a great job. Congratulations on your 3rd place. Alright, so moving on to 4th place, and we have Josh who come forth with Evil Boo. Unfortunately, I cannot pronounce your TCG name, so I'm not going to try and make a fool of myself, because reading isn't my strong suit. So this is the first one actually running the Barbary, and he's only running 2 Barbary, so obviously, again, not very reliant on the Barbary, because, like, if you want the most of the boos that I have played against normally just turn 2, slam down the Barbary, that's it. Like, so you want 4 Barbity, so you see that Barbity. So the fact that he's only running 2, it does, to me, says he's not too fast if he doesn't play it on curve. He'll eventually find some time to play it and then go from there. So again, another deck not utilizing the new broken card that people are complaining about. One of them, because this is obviously the other one. This 4-drop SR is ridiculous. I personally wish it was actually never printed. But we do see a little bit more variety in this deck. We are playing 2 copies of the 4-drop dual attacking card. So it's kind of just like, I thought actually more people maybe would have run this card instead of running the buff boo. But I guess like pitching one from hand is a little bit harder than just KOing one of your battle cards, because sometimes you can like swing with your double strike, or like one thing I do see a lot of people do is swing with like their 4-drop SR, and then they use the buff boo to KO it just to draw another card. So I think the utility that the buff boo can KO this and draw yourself another card, I think is maybe a little bit better, and that's why we're not seeing many decks running this boo particularly. 2 of the 5-drop Evil Margin boos, so this is mainly if you want to tech against Jiren, or you want to not KO the 5-drop Cell, because this card places it in the drop. I actually realized I can't actually bring these cards up, so I've obviously done something wrong with how I'm looking at things, but it places a card 5 or less in the drop, and then it plays like an absorption with, I think it's like the same energy cost or less. So a lot of the time you generally play this guy. And then moving on from there, 4 double strike, and he's gone very flashy, because I say why not? Because at this point in time, super combos are just being printed, and you just play the nicest ones. He's thought outside the box. He's played 1 of each, so we can get behind that. Next up, we have Max Kennedy, and he did the double over the weekend. I do not believe... I know that there was someone that went top 8 and top 16 in Fusion World, but nobody else went top 8 in Masters and top 8 in Fusion World. So shout out to Max for doing that. An awesome weekend results-wise. So we will see again, no Barbity. This list is a slightly bit different to, I believe, John's list, which is his teammate. Shout out to PX3. He's running one of the boos that'll swing twice. Mainly, I guess it's a target to play off this, because like you don't want to play nothing off of this, because it is only a 15k body. You generally aren't swinging with it. You're just popping it, placing in whatever sense the Jiren or the Cell into the drop, and you're playing this guy to swing twice. 3 of the Lockdown, 3 of this boo, 2 Janembas. I believe John's list wasn't running this, whereas John's list was running the Frieza SCR. So very interesting to see like teammates, but yet they have 2 different builds. So congratulations again, Max. Now moving on, we've got the spicy Janemba with Anthony, and Anthony was actually one of my losses, and I actually sat down to him next to him on round 1, and I seen the Ginyu stuff, and I immediately thought to myself, I hope I don't match against that. And well, round 2, I matched against him, and normally I'm the one playing the aggressive fast decks, but I saw no removal, and I pretty much just had to try and push for game, and this deck can get to high numbers because of the Bonds of the Ginyu Force card. And at the end of the day, I just could not outrace Janemba. So big shout out to him. Obviously, this is actually a really like spicy pick, because at the moment, I feel like Boo would actually struggle against a deck like this. So maybe he's played this as a pick to Boo, because Boo isn't running. You will see that all these lists, none of them are running Final Explosion. None of them are running anything to KO multiple bodies. So if you just spam a lot of bodies, any deck's going to struggle with it. The only deck that probably doesn't struggle with a board just going this wide is probably Blue. And there wasn't a lot of Blue. So I think this was actually a really solid pick. It has obviously been a while since anyone has seen Ginyu, and with Janemba, you get access to 2 more energy on top of that. So no real notables to really talk about. Obviously, it had the newest card of being Jace, the crit guy. So you are playing a lot of Ginyu package. So this Bonds of Ginyu Force can get pretty big. Not even the field card that lets you free play Ginyu stuff in rest mode. We're just like we're too fast for that. We're not spending 2 energy for that. And obviously we've got the Ginyu Force Pot of Greed card, which is like really good because Janemba's untapping 2, so you're not drawing as a leader. Being able to replenish your hand with one of those 2 energy that you untap just gives you 2 more cards. And the extra energy alone, so like for the extra 2 energy alone, you play like one of these and a Jace, and you get to swing and just draw. So really, really good pick. Congratulations on your finish. So next up we have Xavier with his Cell list, and the one thing that we do see straight away is this list is running, of course, the 1-cost Cell. So I did mention a bit earlier about the 1-cost Cell chain to, of course, like maybe go that turn earlier on your 4-drop play, and you will see that he's actually only running 1 of the 16, and he's running 2 of the board negs. So I guess this is like really good in the mirror, because if your opponent starts to get a few 18s on board, you can just just destroy them all. So I think there's a couple of different ways you can build Cell at the moment. I don't really think there is a bad way to build Cell at the moment if you just run this engine. It's just like tweaking what pieces you want to work best. He's obviously decided like no instant transmission, but we've got Dr. Flappy, and there's instances where like they both provide the same value, but just Flappy just costs an energy. So and the utility to be able to grab like your Cell Juniors for your free plays is really strong, because sometimes you just want that 5k neg, or maybe another swing for game, and you got nothing in hand, so you just pay 1 to play this, pick up a Cell Junior, and then swing for game. So very, very happy to see another Cell on the list. Congratulations on your finish. And now we have 8th place, and I was like super, super hyped when I seen that he got top 8. I actually got a chance to have a chat with the, sorry, I didn't get the guy's name, unfortunately, but I did have a chat with him after the event. I was picking his brain about how his deck operated, because my deck, obviously, I run like Goku Black Chain, I don't play as many 2-drops, so his, like, after chatting to him, I actually started to think to myself, maybe I'm just playing Giblet wrong, and the way that this deck has been piloted is actually the way to go. So we will start off, congratulations on getting 8th with Giblet. When I went into the event, I played Giblet myself. A lot of people said to me, oh, you're playing Nameku. No, I can't play Nameku. Oh, you're playing Cell. Nope. Oh, I'm playing Giblet. Ooh, okay. So, like, it's not like... It's a great deck, but it's probably not the best deck into Boo and Cell. So, again, if you can pilot decks like these in hard metas, it just shows, like, really strong pilot skills. So, big congratulations on your 8th place. So, we got 4 of the Raditz, 4 Zamasu, full complement of the 2-drops being Hit and Baby, and like Hit is so amazing if you get to pop this off. The 3-cost Broly, which I've never seen anyone run so heavily, so very interesting, and obviously it works very well for you. 2 of these Giblets, just in case you like really get absolutely starved. Cell for board removal, pretty much like really, really good answer to the 4-drop SR Margin Boo. 4 of the Golden Frieza, 4 of the Broly, 4 Shallot, 1 of the Turles, just like, obviously he's just like applying so much face pressure with these 2 and 3 drops that he doesn't need to like run many double strikes. At some point you'll see them and you can just swing them for game. There is cases where you can actually play both double strikes in one turn if you need to. 4 of the pretty looking new super combos, 4 instant to be able to keep that energy lower. 1 of the Saiyan Born of Fury and Hate, so obviously plus 25 if you've got less energy, and Twisted Mortality for that board removal if your opponent's board does get a bit out of control. So congratulations on your 8th place finish there. And of course, our finalist, the other 8th place finish, shout out to Mark, his first top 8. Big congratulations to you. The first one always feels special. So make sure you savor it, and well earned. So this list, again, very, very different. So this one actually running the Barbity. So focusing on Barbity restand things. And we're running a Pui Pui for obviously the field hate. Can't think off the top of my head what fields are floating around at the moment. But obviously field hate. You know, it's probably going to start becoming a little bit more relevant sometime in the future. With some more decks potentially getting field cards, we don't know. This one running Final Explosion, so opting to be able to like control the board. We've got the 5-drop Evil Boo, and then that's, yeah, so you're also playing the 4-drop to play off, of course, the 5-drop. So if you're playing, it generally seems like if you're playing the 5-drop, you kind of have to run the 4-drop as well, otherwise it's a little bit dead. But 2 of these Kid Boos, and only 6 of the 1-drop restings, whereas a lot of the other lists are actually running 8. So some very similar lists, but some very different lists at the same time. So congratulations on your 8th place. So that will end the video today, guys. Hope you did enjoy. Please be sure to smash that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch us all on another one soon.